What is up, everybody? Welcome to this special Keigh3 edition of the Dense Pixels podcast. Even though it's not really, it's just our normal weekly show, but we're going to be talking about Keigh3 pretty exclusively. That, of course, is the Summer Games Fest. I'm one of your hosts, Brad, joined by my co-host, Micah.
Hey.
And Carrie.
What's up?
So we don't have like a very proper format for this. Like we're just kind of this could be a free flowing conversation about our general tenor of the shows, and the stuff that we saw that we're most excited for. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll get to see. We'll have the trailers playing of the games that we're talking about as we go. So look forward to that. If you're not watching on YouTube, trust me, it's okay. We're gonna be talking the entire fucking time, and probably not referencing too much of what is seen in the trailer. So. We got that going for us. But what was your guys' overall just impressions around all the stuff that we've seen this weekend so far?
Carrie?
It's fine. We got so much fucking spooky space shit going on, and I am not at all interested in the spooky space shit. And there's so much spooky space shit happening.
It's funny because like when I saw the trailer, and I saw the trailer a couple times, but they first showed it for the Xbox show for Scorn, which is that gory horror game that's coming out. Like it looks novel because literally every other game that they showed that was like horror themed was all in space this weekend, and there's literally like 5 games, including a new gameplay they showed from System Shock. From that reboot that's coming out over the weekend. So,
yeah,
as if
I
you
lost
didn't have
track
enough.
of how many spooky space games are happening, but there's a lot of those. There's the stuff that I'm most interested about isn't all necessarily like the big AAA titles. It didn't seem like we got a ton of big AAA titles. There were a couple, but like not really.
Yeah.
It seemed pretty sort of across the board. Good old Jeff Keighley really tried his best to hype shit up during the Summer Games Fest presentation, and it wasn't necessarily worth hyping up every time. I don't know. It's just it's not the same as E3. I
think part of the problem was that people level set beforehand saying, hey, there's not gonna be a lot of new shit announced. Like most of the stuff that we saw was things that we had known about previously. We just saw new maybe content from it.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, like the actual Summer Games Fest live show, the one that Jeff Keighley put on Thursday, was probably the least whelming of all of the shows, and that includes like the sub shows like Day of the Devs and like the Future Game
Wholesome
Show
Directs,
and all
yeah.
right and all that stuff. I found a lot more stuff to be interested in those shows than I did during the Summer Games Fest show. I thought Microsoft did a great job because they're doing they're working so hard to cast as wide a net as possible. That as long as they hit you with like 3 or 4 things that you're genuinely excited about, then they did their job, and I couldn't care less about anything else that they showed.
Definitely had the best overall presentation that we've seen so far. Because now there's rumors that there's going to be like a big ass Nintendo Direct, but like in another 2 weeks or something like that. So fucking whatever. Yeah, I mean, fucking Summer Games Fest ended on The Last of Us Part 1, which is a remake of a game from less than 10 years ago that has already been remastered once. And I'm just like, that's what we're ending on? That's the big fucking to-do at Summer Games Fest, is a remake of a game that's less than a decade old? Like... I'm so tired of The Last of Us.
It doesn't help
The Last of Us really was the last of it. Like
it doesn't help that all three of us are pretty fucking tepid on the Last of Us series as a whole on this show. So
I mean, at this point, it's obnoxious.
It really is, because like it's such like a masturbatory kind of series at this point, because it's like they made the first game and it was critically acclaimed and that's great, and then they made the second game and it was polarizing and fine, but it's like they keep going back to that first game over and over again now, and I'm just like I'm tired of it. Like I'm tired of this game. It feels forced at this point. Like they couldn't just let it be popular on its own. They're like, no, we're gonna keep remaking it on all these new systems, and we're gonna keep upgrading the character models, and you're gonna fucking play this game, and then you're gonna go to HBO and you're gonna watch the series, and you're gonna enjoy it. And I'm like, I'm not.
I think it's half commercial tie-in and half like Neil Druckmann doing like the Lucasization of The Last of Us. He's like, this is the game I would have wanted to make if the technology was available at the time.
Sure.
And we're gonna remake it with the Last of Us 2 engine. Micah, what were your impressions of all the things we saw this weekend? Just the general tenor of the presentations.
Well, before we do that, I as I told Brad Carey that I recently bought Resident Evil 8 because it was on sale, and I just see now that Capcom is like, well, here's Resident Evil 8 Super Deluxe Edition.
You had to see
Yeah,
that
they
coming.
literally, yeah.
So so
With like a playable
you know,
epilogue, and now you can play Ethan
Third
in
person,
like over the shoulder,
Right.
RE4 style. Yeah,
That's actually pretty cool, because I think a lot of folks, there's a few folks out there who really don't care for the first person gameplay. Yeah.
yeah, I don't mind it, but I would have preferred the third person. But you know what? It's fine. It's fine.
You're going to start over from the beginning, aren't you?
No. It's all good. It's all good.
You can also, there's like a side story. You can play as Big Titty Goth Mommy now. Like,
well, you know, I don't want to play as her, but yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna keep going. The show was the shows were fine. I am excited for those who are excited. I don't know if I am just kind of aging out of video games, and I don't want that to be the case, but I don't know if it's like the types of games, or no, I don't think it's the types of games. But I really do think it's the marketing. I don't like the way some of these games are just being presented to me. Gunfire Reborn, which is just like animals shooting each other in like wacky costumes. Like, what am I gonna do with that, right? Like Flintlock, Siege of Dawn. These titles, like, what are you doing with these titles? Also,
I mean, it doesn't help that Flintlock, especially, like, I saw that game and I was like, this looks like 5 other games that either have come out recently or are coming out.
Yeah,
just
like,
with kind of a different motif. It is funny how, I mean, and this is not new, but the industry seems to kind of like they follow trends. Like, there's a popular game that'll come out, and then you'll see a lot of other games come out a couple of years later that kind of ape it. I don't know what like Flintlock and Forspoken and all those games like that are emulating. I guess maybe like God of War in some ways, but
they appear to me to be like they appear to me to be the answer to maybe a God of War, but a little more Assassin's Creed, like the later years of Assassin's Creed, where it is just full on open, full on character adventure with RPG elements, and that's fine. But like Flintlock looks super generic. It look, I mean, it doesn't. It looks like you said. It looks like every other thing out there, right? What else? Look, I don't. This is probably just me. You young people will have to tell me, but I do not smoke weed, and I am not in my 20s. So High on Life, the Rick and Morty game. Like,
I feel like that game is specifically marketed towards like Rick and Morty.
Look,
fans.
I'm 10 years younger than you, and I smoke a lot of weed, and that game does not appeal to me in the least. So I don't really know who you're trying to talk to here. That game looks stupid as hell.
Redfall, you know, I mean, Left 4 Dead with vampires. Okay. I mean, I get it, and I can see why. I can see how people would like everything that was shown, and the presentation of the Xbox presentation was great. I agree with you. The Xbox presentation was great, but some of these things just really aren't for me. I do appreciate what Microsoft is doing in terms of, you know, they want to be like the Netflix of games, right? And you got to have a wide variety of games, right? You gotta be able to say, hey, you want to play video games? There's something for you. As long as you buy Game Pass, you will find something to play. I appreciate that. What I do not appreciate is Phil Spencer genuflecting to fucking Hideo Kojima. Like, I get it, yo. I get it. I like Metal Gear also, but come on, guys. Like he was. We know you guys want Japanese games, which is true. Like, the Xbox. Really
Yeah, but
need
like
games
Hideo
that are
Kojima
Japanese
is not
games.
like like when I think Japanese video games, Hideo Kojima is not actually who I think of in like the first 10 franchises
Oh, that's-
people at all.
That's funny. I do, because his games are always like weird as fuck, and that's like just one of the things.
They're
Like if
weird,
if
but,
it's
like,
not
I
if it's
don't-
not like a JRPG, I immediately associate
no.
Japan with like the weirdest shit possible.
No, but
I
I
don't
understand
know.
what Carrie's. I 100% understand what Carrie's saying. They're weird. They're not Japanese weird.
Yeah,
right?
it's
Like,
they're
it's a
eccentric
weird,
old
like-
man weird.
yeah, it's a weird like mashup of like East and West weirdness that Kojima has, and it just like I get it, but like the visionary director, he made Rambo, but like more overtly political.
Right.
Like
He's truly the Quentin Tarantino of the video game industry. Like he had a really a couple really popular games that like put him on the map as an auteur, and then like he tried a lot of weird shit that became increasingly polarizing. But occasionally they'll come out with something that'll be, like a banger.
Right. And watch, in 8 years when this game gets announced, I'll be super excited for it.
Yeah.
And then 10 years later, my sons will be happy to play it. But yeah, man, the overall presentation, it was I didn't have too much of a problem with it. It felt pretty standard. It didn't feel as stuffy or as corporate, and I think it's because they didn't have too many people out there who are not used to talking in front of crowds, talking about their games, and they didn't have too many people who are used to performing, and then that's all they want to do is just like ham it up. You know what I mean? Like, it was fine. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it. I always enjoy looking at like what's this new stuff coming out. My issue is that one, it doesn't look like too much is coming for me, and two, 2023 is going to be a great year.
It sure will. Remember my prediction that like 2022 is gonna be one of the greatest like gaming years ever, and then they shifted half the games that were gonna make it great into 2023. I'm like, well, I guess 2023 is gonna be one of the greatest games of all time, and 2022 is gonna be the year of Elden Ring. Like that is gonna be what 2022 is.
We got Elden Ring this year. Not fucking much else. Next year we're supposed to be getting Breath of the Wild 2. We're supposed to be getting Starfield. A lot of big shit.
Yeah,
next year.
That's right.
Cool.
Yep. So, I mean, like Jeff Keighley could have presented the Game of the Year award to Elden Ring during this presentation if he wanted to. Like in lieu of Elden Ring DLC being announced, he'd be like, "Well, we're just going to give the Game of the Year award to Elden Ring now."
Yeah.
Because we might as well. I do appreciate like the one thing that with the summer game, with all the stuff that I've seen this weekend so far, is that it seems like that everything was presented with purpose. There wasn't a lot of like time fillery stuff, and I think you get that more from the like the big third party publishers. So like the Ubisoft show just seems like a whole bunch of 10-minute presentations that should have been 3, and nothing but those. And I think EA kind of falls into that a little bit too. I think they tend to show a little too much. It's very telling that for me the draggiest part of the Jeff Keighley Summer Games Fest stream proper was the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 presentation. like that was the one where they
so over the top for no reason
and so long. Like they showed an entire level of the game.
We got
Yeah.
these fucking 20-foot tall things of these characters that you definitely know and remember from the very popular campaigns of earlier Calls of Duties. What the fuck was that?
Yeah, I mean, again, because that felt the most E3 of all the stuff that I saw this weekend. Like everything else moved at a pretty
but for like the
brisk
worst
pace.
reasons.
Right. For the worst reasons. Like everything else I saw like didn't overstay its welcome too terribly much. Like even the Starfield presentation, which was like 15 minutes long.
It was long, but it was purposeful.
Right. It was, you were engaged the entire time because they didn't just focus. It's not like, hey, we're going to walk through one level for 10 minutes and show this.
No,
like
they're like, we're going to show some gameplay.
Yeah.
We're going to show you character creation. We're going to show you ship modification. We're going to show you maps. We're going to show you a little bit of the story. Just little tastes of a lot of little things. A very solid overview of what to expect from Starfield.
Right. Which was needed because we didn't have any of that prior to.
No, we had like a teaser trailer
right.
from a year ago.
So, I mean, I think that's a good summation of our thoughts on the show. Before we get into talking about the stuff that we're most excited about, Micah is going to tell you all about all the different ways you can engage with the TMP Studios network.
Go to densepixels.com/fans and get invited into our Discord. We have a Keigh3 channel there where you can talk about all the stuff that you saw, you liked, you didn't like, all that good stuff. Go to youtube.com/densepixels. You should really do it today because we're going to show you trailers that you've probably already seen, but you haven't seen them with our faces reacting to them. Right? We can do like every other stupid thumbnail and just pull a stupid like face whenever we see something. I literally saw a thumbnail of 3 dudes doing this.
Wow.
Like, all right, yo. Like, all right, god damn it. I fucking hate algorithms and the stuff that you people click on, but you people click on stuff that looks like this. So there you go. Click on it. Go to youtube.com/densepixels and click on it.
You don't think I'm ripping that still out for our thumbnail? You are. You are
turning that
mistaken.
into the new Discord emote.
Subscribe to all the TMP Studios podcasts wherever you get your podcasts, including the Nerdpocalypse, Black on Black Cinema, Coming Distractions, and the weekly preview episode of the Look Forward Political Podcast. They're back. For $5 a month, $50 for the full year, you get access to all of the premium content, including the airing of grievances, No Time to Bleed, The Men with the Golden Tongues, Upstage Conversation, and the full episode of the Look Forward Political Podcast. That's where you get all of our stuff. So do it.
Very good. Look, I feel like we're dancing around Starfield, so let's just fucking talk about Starfield while we're here, because I think that among us, it's one of the things that we're probably all most, engaged with in terms of this goes. Let me tell you something. I am so on the fence about this game and whether I'm going to like it or not, because while it has everything that I want in like a space-based adventure game with all the fucking tropes and things that come along with that, which I really like because I'm a big sci-fi fan, it's also, like this presentation showed me, it is very much a Bethesda-style open world role-playing game, which I usually fall off on because I just require more narrative than those games typically tend to offer.
I see what you're saying, but at the same time, I don't necessarily agree with the narrative part. Like I'm no Bethesda like super fan.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've played a number of them. I've only finished Fallout 4. I've only seen the ending to one of them. And it's the issue with Bethesda games to me is that they have great little stories, right? Like, oh, here's a quest line that you have to go through, right? And it's fun. But like the overall story is not that great. And I have a feeling that this is going to be the exact same thing. I feel like it's going to be Fallout in space. I know everyone's making the joke of like, oh, it's just like No Man's Sky. But I feel like it's going to be Fallout in space. I feel like it's going to be like the Outer Worlds, which unfortunately I didn't finish, but I enjoyed. But at the same time, like having a silent protagonist in a game like this doesn't really do it for me because I don't need people talking at me. Like I need for this type of game, I feel like I need characters to be interacting with one another. It's also got that weird like, and now I'm here to talk to you about a quest, and I'm going to talk dead in the face just like this,
I'm gonna
and
look right at you.
I'm just going to zoom right in on your face, and I'm just going to do like this, and occasionally move so that you know I'm not a robot, but I'm moving in the same type of direction, just looping in this animation, so it feels even more uncanny valley. And it's like so stuff like that takes me out of it. But look, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't excited for this game. Now, we're not looking at the part that we're looking at now. This did nothing for me.
No, the mining thing, I was like, yo, this is No Man's Sky.
It's literally
Like,
No Man's
this
Sky.
is literally
Well,
No
you
Man's
know,
Sky.
yeah.
We're
This
mining
planet,
iron.
this planet looks whack. I'm
Well,
chipping rocks.
technically, this is a moon, Micah. Just to be
Okay. This-
accurate with what
this,
how they described it.
This moon looks whack. I'm chipping. I'm breaking rocks. Like this does not look fun. But
Yeah.
when the game, when the presentation opened up, I was like, okay, all right, I'm getting a little excited. For it.
Yeah, Carrie, you are the resident Bethesda super fan in this
I
group.
guess I'm the only one here who is like played and beaten multiple games multiple times. I've played and beaten 3-4 New Vegas multiple times, Skyrim and Oblivion. Yeah, I mean, this looks interesting. I'm not sure how I'm vibing with the combat because I don't like real shooty games. I like Fallout shooty games.
See, that's the part I'm most vibing with. Like of all
Okay,
the
I mean,
stuff they
that's
showed,
fine.
I'm like, okay,
Yeah, that's fine.
like, look,
Yeah,
it looks.
I'm not good at shooty games. And here's the thing: I know that I can go in as in any Bethesda game and crank the difficulty down on this shit if I actually have trouble with it. But yeah, I mean, obviously there's no VATS system or anything like that, so it's going to play more along the lines of Skyrim in that sense, where you can't like take a pause and be like, wait a second, let me target this dude's leg. You gotta actually have a sense of aim and know what you're doing and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, I feel like this game is either going to be like brilliant or a janky unplayable mess. And I hope it's brilliant, and I hope the fact that they are taking the additional 6 to 8 months, however long they're taking, in order to like polish this game up and get it into a playable state, hopefully, when it releases. I'm glad that they are taking the time to do that. But yeah, I mean, I like No Man's Sky enough, and I like Bethesda games enough. So if this is going to be No Man's Skyrim, then well, fine, cool, I'm in.
Yeah.
I hope the narrative is interesting. The sort of tidbits that we got are just like, you join a team of explorers, and I'm like, okay, and then what? Like, I'm hoping there's some decent political intrigue and different factions like you usually encounter in these Bethesda RPGs and whatnot. I mean, I'm excited for space. Like, space is fun. Space is terrifying. Space is fun though. The scope of this game, like, I wish Todd Howard was like, yo, this baby can fit so many Skyrims in it. But it's, he said there's more than 1,000 places you can go in this system that has 100 different planets or 100 different systems or some shit like that in this galaxy, which is bonkers to think about. I mean, obviously it's one thing to play a game like No Man's Sky where everything's sort of procedurally generated. I'm assuming this is not fully procedurally generated.
I'm about to say I wouldn't.
There's going to be some procedural generation happening here, but I have to imagine that there's going to be parts on like every single planet or moon that you go to that is like purposeful and there for a reason, rather than something that an algorithm generated because you happen to go there. I mean, there's plenty of stuff in other previous Bethesda games that is procedurally generated based on what you do in the game. That's never been like the bulk of the content though. So I hope that the bulk of the content on these different planets is not procedurally generated.
I think remember what I think they'll do it like the Outer Worlds did it, and I think they'll do it like Mass Effect did it. When you hopped on a planet, you're on a map. and that
Well,
map.
you mean Outer Wilds? Because Outer
Uh,
Worlds was very linear in what you could actually do. You were very limited in what
yeah,
was.
maybe I'm thinking of the wrong thing, but I know in Mass Effect when you jumped on a planet that you could actually land on, you just landed on a big map.
But
And
that's not how they described it. Like the way Base Todd talked about it is that you could literally go like land anywhere on the planet that you wanted to and explore it. Like he made it sound very No Man's Sky esque in how
Yeah.
how
we'll
they
see.
would do it.
We'll see because I want to be able to see like they did a little montage of all the different like terrain
Hmm.
that you encounter when you go on different planets. I hope that there is something like a No Man's Sky where it's like okay, like eventually you'll come across a lake or something like
Right.
that. Like it's not all just desert or it's not all just forest or it's not
Yeah.
all just like rocks or whatever.
Right.
So we'll see.
Like I said, I am encouraged by the gameplay because that's usually where I fall off. Well, I should say not where I fall, but where like I struggle through Bethesda games that their RPGs tend to not have the greatest moment to moment gameplay in them.
The
So
space building stuff is also pretty cool.
yeah,
It seems like a natural expansion of the kind of stuff that they first introduced in Fallout 4 and then actually continued in a major way in Fallout 76.
yeah.
Um,
So like I said, I am cautiously optimistic about this game, but again, it's a great to me like a game like this is a great selling point for Game Pass because I don't have to spend $70 to play this game. I can spend $15 for a month, and if I like it, then I'll just keep subscribing to Game Pass and playing it. And if I don't like it, then it's $15 spent to check out Starfield, and I can play some other stuff at the same time too while that's all going on. So again, lots of things to see in this that I like. Like I like the fact that you can customize your ship. I like the fact that they actually have like space combat, which looks a bit more robust than what they have in No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky space combat sucks.
I mean, so
as
the way I
always.
heard the way I heard this Starfield described is, what if No Man's Sky had an actual budget, and behind it,
Yeah.
and
Hey.
that's kind of what you're seeing with this one. So I think cautious optimism is where I land, but I also, knowing that it's a Bethesda game, I would not be surprised to see myself bounce off super quickly with this one.
Yeah.
Let's get to what me and Mike are super hyped about. I mean, we talked about it a little bit last week, but Street Fighter 6 looks dope as shit, and everyone that played it said it feels dope as shit.
Man, look,
Want to go home and be a family man?
yeah, I kind of do. They showed Guile's character like showcase or whatever you want to call it. And yo, my man, Guile looks awesome. He does. He looks nice, yo. He looks really he looks really good. He looks really cool, man. Like everything in this game, and from everything so very popular YouTuber Maximilian dude. He is he's like a perfect bridge between casual fighting game fans and hardcore fighting game fans. He got to play this game, and he uploaded the raw footage and gave commentary for 2 hours, 2 straight uninterrupted hours of everything that he played, and just everything that he's describing makes me so excited to play this game. The way the systems, the way the drive system. So every Street Fighter game is different, right? Every Street Fighter game, no Street Fighter game plays like the previous Street Fighter game, which is why people have their favorites, right? Like all Tekkens kind of play the same, right? All Soul Calibers, they all kind of play the same. But Street Fighter,
All Mortal Kombat's play exactly
all
the
Mortal
same.
Kombats are still like, It's just like really fancy rock'em sock'em robots, right? Like, but all Street Fighters play different, which is one of the reasons why I think this series has lasted as long as it does. And this drive system seems so incredibly interesting to have one resource to manage all of your abilities. It seems like a both offensive and defensive, and it seems like a system that feels so simple and seems like oh, why didn't people think of this before? But I'm glad they're doing it now. I'm glad they're using elements from previous Street Fighters. I'm glad they seem to be not finding a balance. I won't say they found it because the focus attack equivalent in this game seems like incredibly overpowered. Like it's a focus attack that can absorb 3 hits,
Yeah.
and it like it seems a little overpowered right now, but and it looks amazing, guys.
Yeah.
Like look at it, look at that. It looks. I'm super excited. Hopefully,
I
it
like
comes
the
out
like the paint
wherever it can't
splatters
be.
that happen after, when you nail certain hits and stuff like that. Like this is a game that like oozes style in a way that I really like to look at.
Yeah, man. Everything that I'm seeing, I've just been like soaking up as much of this information as I can. I'm hoping that we'll get like, if it comes out in February, I'm hoping we'll get like 2 characters a month during the lead up.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, man, I can't wait. I can't wait.
I'm really excited to see like what other modes they're going to have in the game, because one of the things that it seems like from this early stuff that they've shown off for the game is that they want to make this as approachable a fighting game as you can. They want to. It seems like they want to really grow the community for Street Fighter, and they understand that like the hardcore fighting game community is already there for you. Like you're not that worried about them, but you need to find ways to bring in other folks. So I think having that Smash Brothers style control scheme that you can optionally use, having stuff like a single player, like a hub world sort of thing. And making that robust is a really smart way to do that. And I think that they really learned their lesson from 5, and coming out of the gate half baked is not going to work. And I think they understand that, and they know that this time. So I'm looking forward to seeing, everything we have to learn about this game between now and when it comes out, probably in like March or around that time. I'd have to imagine Street Fighter games usually come out like February, March typically. So
Yeah.
game is also very gorgeous as well, for sure. What do you guys want to talk about next?
What else was here? Don't really care about it. Yeah, look, I don't mind spooky space stuff, but like you're right, there's a lot of it, man.
There's a lot of spooky space stuff, man.
There's a lot of it. You know what? Fucking speaking of spooky shit, let's talk about my the game that I'm probably most looking forward to. Have been looking forward to, and I'm happy that we finally got a release window for the game. Supposedly, it's going to come out in the first 6 months of 2023. That, of course, is Diablo 4. Playing Immortal has just kind of reminded me that I fucking love these games, and I'm just waiting for the next big one to come out to sink my teeth into, and I'm really excited about all the stuff that they showed for the game this weekend. They showed off the final of the base classes that are coming out, which is the Necromancer, which seems to kind of incorporate a lot of the different elements of Necromancers from the Diablo series, which is pretty nifty. They talk kind of about how the game is going to flow in terms of all the different things that you can do in the game. From what listening to Rod Ferguson talk about it, it seems like that Immortal, in a lot of ways, is very much like a testing grounds for Diablo 2, and I don't mean that in the monetization aspect. I mean that in kind of rolling out new game modes and new things to do, and creating a shared world experience, because they never have made a shared world game in the Diablo franchise previous to Immortal, and Diablo 4 is leaning heavily on that. They're going to have like world bosses and public events and things like that you'll be able to tackle in the game. I'm just ready for this shit to come out. It looks great. It looks like it's kind of going back to that Diablo 2 art style, which players are very excited about, because Diablo 3 got a lot of criticism from the hardcore Diablo community for being too colorful and too bright. Whereas Diablo, this
God
game
forbid
looks,
your game have a little bit of saturation.
well, I mean, but like Diablo is a very specific art style that people like.
I
So
played a lot of Diablo. I played a lot of 2 when I was a kid, and played a lot of 3 when 3 came out. Personally, like, I think Diablo 4 looks great. However, I still need Blizzard to like get their shit together as a company before I'm going to give them any more of my money.
I mean,
that's where I'm at right now.
I mean, that's I think that's totally fair. I also think it's fair for people that are skeptical with the recent monetization practices that we're seeing in Diablo Immortal to kind of hold this game at arm's length. Now, their community director did come out and say emphatically that there will be no pay for power in any way, shape, or form in D4. It's going to be limited specifically to cosmetics and expansion content. So I'll take them at their word. I was telling Micah before we jumped on that people forget that Diablo Immortal was co-developed with NetEase, who NetEase literally all they do is develop mobile games. So like not having that driving your progress forward in the D4 development, I think is gonna hold true to their word. But we'll see ultimately. This game's gonna be under a heavy amount of scrutiny when it comes out, deservedly so. So let's just hope that it will hold up to it. But I can't wait. It looks dope as shit.
It does, man. Like, I've never been like a huge Diablo person. Like, my first Diablo was Diablo 3, right? Because, I'm always late to the party. But it's fun. And yeah, now that I've kind of gotten the bug, yeah, I'm into it. And it looks amazing. I'm happy you can finally create your character. I'm happy to. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for it. I can't wait for it to come out sometime in 2023 when all the good stuff comes out.
That's right.
Apparently. So all you people who don't have like next gen systems, like don't be mad. You got another 6 months.
That's the thing. Like this holiday, like what the fuck reason do you have to buy a next generation console? I mean, I swear. There's really nothing coming out. Like Microsoft's like, the Overwatch open early access starts in October, guys. That's basically like a new game, right? Right? So if you don't want to give Bethesda money, or not Bethesda, if you don't want to give Blizzard money, like Carrie doesn't, Micah can tell you how you can give us money.
Someone just as bad money, and then we get like 25 cents.
And then us too.
Yeah, you can give demons money, and then we'll steal a little bit of it. Go to densepixels.com/Amazon. You go to densepixels.com/Amazon and do all of your purchases there. Not only do you fund Lex Luthor, but you give us a finder's fee, and that's all we really need, right? Like it's the easiest way to help out the show. Let's see. Pick up where you left off. My asshole friend Jay sent me a message saying your birthday gift has been secured. Now this is obviously a joke because Jay is a bit of a meathead now. Like he's all into fitness, and he's like he can't wait to tell you that he's got to work out. Right? He's one of those guys. And he said your birthday gift has been secured, and as a meathead who thinks I'm fat, he said, here it is. And I click on the link, and it's a Cuisinart ice mix serve 1.5 quart soft serve ice cream maker in white. Boy. I told him that this is obviously a joke because if you get me this, I'm going to get diabetes and die. You can't do that. Because I got kids. Me and Heath Slater, we got kids, man. So I can't have this. He said, obviously, it is a joke, which is great. But it doesn't have to be a joke for you. You can go to densepixels.com/Amazon and get yourself a Cuisinart mixed serve, soft serve ice cream maker. Do it.
I find it amusing that the thing that Carrie was probably most excited about from E3 is the ability to play Persona games on the PC.
Yeah, yep, 100%. Oh yeah, dude. Like once it's because they opened this by showing Persona 3, and then they confirmed that it's a port of Persona 3 Portable, which means that I no longer have to either try and stream it to PlayStation in a really janky manner, or buy a PSP to play Persona 3 Portable. I can just play it presumably on Steam because they said it's coming to Windows. This was during the Xbox presentation, so they were like, Persona's coming to Xbox and Windows. And I'm like, cool, Windows. All right, cool, whatever, Windows. I don't own an Xbox, and I'm really not trying to buy one.
They don't care. You didn't see an Xbox console during this entire fucking presentation.
No, they were just like, here's some games, buy Game Pass, dumbass. So first up out of the gate is going to be the port of Persona 5 Royal,
Royale.
which our boy
Excuse me,
Phil
Carrie.
calls
Royale.
Persona 5
Royale.
Royale. It's Royal. There are too many Battle Royale games, and it has poisoned poor Phil's brain because he called it Persona 5 Royale. It's Royal. So anyway, that'll be out in October, which means that those of you who somehow have never played Persona 5 at this point, because it's only been on PlayStation, you don't happen to own a PlayStation, congratulations. October 21st, Persona 5 Royal coming to Windows and Xbox, and then Persona 4 Golden has already been out on Steam. So I imagine they're not gonna maybe they'll re-release it in like the Windows Game Store or some shit like that. But like a Windows version of the game already exists. So at this point, I'm just waiting on them to let me know when Persona 3 is going to be available, because I really want to replay Persona 3, and I would love to play Persona 3 Portable, because I never actually played Portable. I played Persona 3 and Persona 3 FES.
I gotta say, I'm a little surprised they didn't have one of these ready to go like right away.
I am also a little surprised at that. I
figured they could have been like, oh, P5R is available today. Like
now.
Yeah, you could just fucking go for it. So that
Yeah.
I think that would have been like the icing on the cake, especially in kind of a lull as far as like new releases. Like this would be a great way to get people that had heard about these games.
Surprise drop of a big Persona title. Yeah, absolutely. Now I can hold out hope that they'll port the PSP versions of Persona 1 and 2, but I'm not holding my breath because I think I'm the only person who actually wants to play those games.
Marvel's Midnight Suns is a game that I'm kind of surprised at myself that I'm somewhat interested in, despite not being a big real turn-based strategy fan and not being a big Marvel fan in general. Look, all you had to do is add cards and I'm fucking here. The thing that's encouraging me is that from everything that I saw around this game is that it seems like that it's much more of a role-playing game than something like XCOM was. Like it still has that tactical combat, but it's not like on a grid. It's kind of an RPG, and it just so happens that the battles are turn-based, and positioning makes a difference. So
yeah, whether you have cover or not makes
Right.
a difference. Yeah, I'm excited for this. The trailers for this have all been super interesting. I'm a big fan of Spider-Man's new outfit in this game. The character reveals on this trailer were really cool. We got Venom, we got Spider-Man, we got Hulk, we got Wanda. So there's some cool shit going on in this trailer. So
now, Micah,
Firaxis makes great games, so I'm excited for them to do something different with Marvel.
Is your Marvel fandom enough to get you to try this genre of games that you might not normally be as into?
It's enough to get me to try it. It's not enough to get me to buy it. If that makes any sense. It does look interesting, and I'm pretty one-dimensional when it comes to games, so I feel like I need to broaden my horizons a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'll try it. And this is coming up. What is it? This is a Game
October.
Pass game?
I don't think so.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
October
I
7th
think you're gonna have
comes
to
out,
to buy this one. So
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to get a Brad and Carrie seal of approval.
gotcha.
All right.
On this before I'm willing to kind of just throw my money at this.
I'd be remiss if I didn't, talk about speedy race cars, because they showed off the trailer for Forza Motorsport, which I was really hoping was coming this year, but it is not. Here's the thing, though. Like, I'm a big Gran Turismo fan. I've never really jived with the Forza games, but again, it's $15 to try, and I will absolutely try them. It looks gorgeous. It looks as good as Gran Turismo does, maybe even better in some ways. I think they do, like, on-track just changes better than Gran Turismo has, especially with the cars themselves. Like, the Gran Turismo did a good job with the environments, but not with the not with the autos as far as showing damage and debris and stuff like that. They like
They
the
still
Ford
don't do that?
they like there's some damage, but it's not very visually represented on the cars. in Gran Turismo. It's a little weird that they still have never bothered to do that. Whereas Forza's like we can render each individual scratch on the bodywork like in this game. So
I remember like in the old days of Gran Turismo, they used the excuse. They probably didn't have the technology to do it, but they used the excuse of like, well, we respect these cars and we don't want them to be shown, all dinged up.
Now you can, like I said, your paint job can get a little scuffed up, and like you can do some damage to your body, but it's not very visually represented, but it's represented in your car's performance. Like if you rub a little hard, you're gonna have to go to the tune-up shop to get the dents banged out so that you have aerodynamic, the least resistance possible in GT. So you got that going for you. What else we got here? Because now we're getting into like the kind of indie stuff. Carrie, let's talk about Pentiment, because I'm like a little interested in this.
This is an Obsidian game, which is super interesting because it doesn't look like anything Obsidian's ever done before, and it's by the guy who directed Fallout New Vegas. This doesn't look anything like Fallout New Vegas. Pentiment is a new Obsidian game. It's a 2D role-playing game. So it's going to have a bunch of branching narratives. They're calling it a narrative adventure game. It is set in 16th century Bavaria and will take players on a narrative journey through the eyes of journeyman artist Andreas Mahler during a time of great social unrest. I mean, it doesn't really look like anything I've played before, and it's by a director whose other work I have enjoyed, so I'm interested. This is not what I expected to see from Obsidian this week. I expected to see more of Outer Worlds 2, which has been announced previously. But I don't think we saw any of Outer Worlds 2. They were like, check out this weird medieval drawing game that we're working on. I'm super interested. So I don't think it has even a release window. But
within the next year, because November actually is what they said.
Oh, okay.
As far as that goes. So. So we got that to look forward to as well.
Yeah.
What else we got here as I'm scrolling through my list of trailers.
Bear and Breakfast.
Say again.
Bear and Breakfast.
Well, I was going to get to that. I have a couple like real short ones. Nitro Kid's like a card based tactics on a grid game. But this I'm getting real Metal Gear Acid vibes from this, and I really liked the Metal Gear Acid games. I'm like the only person that did, apparently.
Did?
I did. Yes.
I'm not surprised.
I like the gameplay of the games. The stories were batshit for a Metal Gear game, which is saying something. But no, Nitro Kid looks pretty cool. This one I think was during the PC Game Show, kind of just dropped out of nowhere. I hope it comes to consoles as well because it looks pretty dope. Like I said, I've pined for something similar to Metal Gear Acid for many years, and Nitro Kid seems like it could be something to deliver.
Got that synthwave aesthetic about it that I like.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like the music on the trailer was also pretty crazy as well. As I was going through, another game that I saw, another indie, Morbid Metal, kind of like an action game. That they showed during the presentation. Again, I've been ruined by Elden Ring. That has made me more willing than ever to try these like third-person action combat games. I don't know if this is Souls-like, but it certainly looks it from the gameplay trailer that they showed.
It's too fast to be a Souls-like.
Could be true. Could be true. Might be more like DMC-esque. I'm interested to know more about it for sure. But like you said, you see these big bosses and these like giant environments. It looks pretty dope. Like I said, something I'd like to learn more about once we get a little bit more info as far as that goes. And then yes, Carrie, talk about Bed and Breakfast, a game that I've heard.
Bear and Breakfast.
Yeah, or Bear and Breakfast. Month. Bear and Breakfast.
Yeah. It comes to Nintendo Switch and Steam on July 28th. So we actually got the launch date this week. You run a bed and breakfast, and you're a bear. So. It's like a resource management sort of sim game where also you're a bear, and I'm interested. You play a bear. The bear's name is Hank. He opens a bed and breakfast with his friends. The game will have a management sim element with a linear story told alongside something to do with a weird, creepy presence that lives in the woods by your bed and breakfast. So
I
Yeah,
feel like
cool. I look.
I feel like I would just watch this as like a movie.
Yeah,
I wonder if my wife would be interested in this game because, like you said, she loves those management sims, and this has a very cute aesthetic, of course.
yeah.
So
I
not
mean,
something I'm
you
interested
get
in at
to
all.
there's some mini games where you're gonna have to cook for guests. That's its own sort of separate mini game. Um, I imagine there's going to be a few different uh sort of sub games within this in order to keep your guests happy at the bed and breakfast. But I don't know. I enjoy the idea of a bed and breakfast run by a bear named Hank.
So yeah, that
I'm
was
very easy to appeal to, honestly.
so yeah. For me, that was all the stuff that stood out the most. As far as games that I'm looking forward to. Anything else from you guys that were real standouts?
Um, Not really. A couple of like little weeb teases, right? But then I see what the game is, and it's like, oh, I'm not gonna play. You know, I'm not gonna play this action battle royale. Game. Naraka Blade Point. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna play.
that came out last year on PC. I think the big deal is that it's coming to console. Any interest in that new Koei Tecmo game that they showed off?
What Wulong?
Yeah.
No, it does not. It doesn't do it. You think it would, right? You think it would, but it really didn't. It just looks it just looks a little too generic for me. And look, this kind of always happens in like new consoles. Um, First year and a half, it's people are just kind of feeling it out, right? Um, and then in like year two or year three, everything just kind of gets going.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm looking at the trailer for Wulong. It doesn't really do anything. First of all, I thought Wulong sounded Chinese, but they're like, "Oh, this is Japanese." I'm like, okay, um, doesn't sound right, but yeah, no, it doesn't really do anything for me. Yeah, just kind of Starfield
Yeah.
and Street Fighter news, and that's about it.
The only other exciting news for me happened right before the show because we got like a one last sort of hoorah to promote what's coming in Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak on the Capcom showcase today. So I mean the big news one, they're adding multiple new maps
Hmm.
to the expansion, whereas like Iceborne only added like one map and like a ton of extra content and story on top of that. So we're getting multiple maps out of the Sunbreak expansion, but they're adding Espinas, who's a monster from the Frontier subseries of Monster Hunter games, and I believe this is the first time that a monster sort of created for Frontier has been added into the mainline Monster Hunter games. So that's kind of interesting because that opens up all sorts of possibilities for what can be added in the future. But I mean, motherfucking Gore Magala is back in Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, and that's going to be a shit show, and I can't wait. Um, and what's nice is they have plotted out the free title updates basically for the rest of the year. They said free title update 1 is coming in August and will add Lucent Nargacuga as well as several other monsters as well as a new locale. Fall will add more rare species and subspecies monsters, and winter will have additional monsters content quests. And then they said they're continuing free title updates into 2023 as well. So if you haven't gotten into Monster Hunter Rise yet, now is certainly the time to do so because the game is on sale for like half price right now.
Still, it
On
seems like it's on sale for half price all the time.
yeah, I mean it's $30 right now, and it's absolutely worth $30 on Steam or on Switch. At this point, I play on Steam after having put more than 100 hours into the Switch version.
That's the one series that like I feel like that I should be able to get into, and then every time I try to play it, it just doesn't. It does not click, and I don't know why.
Well, good news for you, Brad, because tomorrow evening a free demo comes out for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak that allows you to access all of the new different, switch skills and combo moves. You get to check out one of the new maps. You get to fight against two of the new monsters. So if you're on the fence about it, the demo comes out tomorrow.
Yep.
So
we go to the post office. We asked you guys about your Keigh3 experiences and questions and whatever else you wanted to ask. We'll start with Ejac, who says, what kind of custom ship will you end up making in Starfield?
Something phallic. I don't know.
Yeah, something pretty. I tend to like pretty spaceships and not like gross, junky looking ones. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. I don't want something slapdash. No, it's the future. I like my future clean.
Yeah, I mean, I want to make something sleek looking, but still, I'm looking for function over form at the end of the day.
Yeah,
like I'll put up with like a janky looking ship if it does everything that I want it to do.
Very good. Amir asks, who crashes this weekend at the Canadian Grand Prix, Nicholas Latifi or Mick Schumacher? It's Latifi's home race, and he's terrible, so I would imagine that if anyone's going to crash between the two of them, it's going to be him. Cam says, been playing the demo for the new Fire Emblem game, which is Fire Emblem Heroes? Mm-hmm. Okay. And it's really cool getting to play a game in a setting I love, but really different story and gameplay. If you could take your favorite game's world, but play it through the lens of a different story or gameplay style, what combinations would you pick? Micah, what Mass Effect revamp are we making?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. What Mass Effect game?
A Mass Effect dating sim, except that already exists.
Wow.
So I'm kidding. That would not be my preference.
I figured yours would be some sort of like Mass Effect like card strategy game, right? Like that world is so huge. Mm-hmm. Like you can, I could see that. The only thing that translates the best for me would be like a real-time strategy Mass Effect game. Mm-hmm. But I'm terrible with those. And I don't want to just default to say a Mass Effect fighting game because like that's just like it doesn't, stuff like that just doesn't work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll give you a weird one. I have talked about before that I really, really like Super Mega Baseball 3, which I'm still fucking playing to this day because it's so much fun. I would love to see that developers take on a hockey game because I think that they can make something that's really fun, and they're Canadian too, which like you would imagine that it's like a match made in heaven. But I certainly don't have the time for like the EA NHL series for the sim games anymore. So it would be cool to be able to see a developer, create a hockey game that kind of sits in between that arcade and sim experience, but like the sim style, but with a approachable control scheme and stuff like that. So that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see the Super Mega Baseball devs create a hockey game, which is not really an answer to the question, but it kind of is an answer to the question.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's I don't know. I'm tired.
I was gonna say like give me Monster Hunter by way of Pokemon, but that already exists. And it's called Monster Hunter Stories, and it's very good. So I don't know. Like there's nothing that I would want to change about the way Golden Sun plays, for instance. Like I wouldn't want a different dev on that. I don't know.
Yeah. Johnny says Kojima's a goddamn genius. He's successfully scammed Sony and now Microsoft and is making a quote-unquote game. Is Kojima the biggest carny in the video game industry?
He's certainly up there.
He bought everybody. He convinced everybody that like he's the greatest thing in gaming, right? Like that's not an easy thing to do, right? Like a lot of people want to have that guy's like clout. Like that guy is like he can make anything happen, and no matter how ridiculous it sounds, like to the point where I swear, man, like Death Stranding has to be like some sort of like prank.
There,
Because
there's a,
like, how do you?
there's a lot
How
of
do you
people that really like that game though.
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
I'm surprised at the people in my life who really like that game.
Well,
look,
so to be fair, from what I understand, is that the game has had a lot of updates over time, and apparently a lot of those updates made it a lot better to play. So there's a lot of folks that did not like the game when it first came out that have revisited it and have enjoyed it much more. Apparently, like it's a good like vibes game. Like it's a good game to like kind of veg
get
to.
high with, to get high on, to get high on. You telling me that a Kojima game is good when you're inebriated on marijuana? If I had pearls, I'd be clutching them right now.
Listen, I don't think he's a Cardi because I think his desire to create these things comes from a genuine place. I just think he's a guy that likes to try a lot of weird shit in the game industry, and he's one of the few people that are able to get big developers to throw lots of or big publishers to throw lots of money at him in order to try weird things.
I also think he is the perfect example of the Emperor's new clothes.
I
Like
don't know about that.
I don't know, man.
I just because
the
Death
Emperor
Stranding
is
didn't
not an
land with you
idiot.
doesn't mean that somehow like Kojima without Konami is like some false.
No, I'm not. Look, maybe that's not the right analogy, right? But like, I have like the dude is talented. He really is. Quite frankly, I'm not saying Konami was keeping him in check or anything.
Mhm.
No, Kojima did Konami a favor, right? But at the same time, like I understand like taking swings, but I don't know his Metal Gear 5, that was him, right?
Mhm.
Like it didn't really that didn't do it for me. Death Stranding, look, I've never played it. I'm completely ignorant to it, but from this ignorant person's perspective, like the idea sounds just kind of I don't know. He sounds like a hippie, and I don't like hippies. I just don't. Like I'm at that point in my life where I'm old, and they say when
Mike
you
is
get old you get a little
Mike
more
is the
conservative.
dad from like a 1960s or like a
Yeah,
1980s like
yeah,
fucking
man.
coming of age comedy.
Yeah, I'm just, I'm Principal Skinner at this point. You know what I mean? Like, no, it's the genius. It's the genius at making video games that's wrong.
It's really funny. We'll end with Mark, who will kind of bring us full circle and just says, with the weekend done, are there any games that you're more hyped or less hyped than you were before this weekend? And is there anything that came from absolutely out of nowhere and hit your must play list?
I would say I'm more excited about Starfield than I was before. I was sort of like I very much had a wait and see sort of approach
Mm-hmm.
to Starfield. Like I wanted to see what the game actually looked like, and now that I've seen what the game looks like, I'm more excited for it. Shocking.
And I'm actually
As far
less a little bit. Like
Oh,
I think
okay,
I was
well.
more excited for Starfield before I realized that Starfield was just going to be another like open world Bethesda RPG. Like I don't know. I felt like it was going to be something different, and then I was like, no, this is pretty much the same game you've made before, just on a different scale with different features. Like okay,
Yep.
I don't know about it now, but we'll see. We'll see what happens there.
I was expecting Starfield to be like a Bethesda game in space,
Mhm.
and that's what it is. And so my excitement is just kind of level. Um, I'm still excited for the stuff that I was excited for, right? Like I'm still excited for like Street Fighter and stuff like that. Um, I'm actually very excited for Diablo 4. I'm actually very excited for that. Um, I'm talking all this shit about Kojima, but I'm very curious to see what he's going to make. Because like you said, he doesn't, he's different.
Mhm.
And in an industry that we were just complaining does the same thing over and over again, right? Like half of these games look like other games, just not as good. He takes swings and big swings. So I'm curious to see what he does. But overall, uh, you know, You like it, I love it. To quote Terrence, and, that's where I am with this.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that I'm more hyped now than I was before. I guess Forbidden Sons would be the only one of those that, you know, I was kind of tepid on it before, and the more I see of it, the more I'm intrigued, and probably more intrigued now than I ever was, kind of learning more of the ins and outs of the gameplay systems. Yeah, talk about less hype. Nothing came out of left field that's like a must play. There's a lot of indie games that I'm interested to learn more about. But nothing that I'm just like, oh my god, like I'm counting the days down until this comes out. Like the games that I'm the game that I'm counting the days down to is Diablo 4. Like that's pretty much it as far as that goes. And I'm probably gonna end up getting like fucking D2R to hold me over because Immortal's not gonna be enough in the long run. So, and I'm also curious to see what Nintendo's got coming because there's still a lot more to see from the games that they have that are coming out this fall. And I swear, like there's too much smoke for there not to be a fire about a Wind Waker and Twilight Princess Switch remaster or Switch re-release, and
Yeah.
I would like to play Wind Waker finally at some point, please, because I've never played it before and I'd really like to.
Really?
I never had a system that had it.
Really good, man.
Yeah, I never.
You know what's
owned a console that
bonkers
had
is
it,
like
so.
the Wii U version was incredible.
Yeah, but who
like
the fuck
the-
owned a Wii U? besides Carrie and 14 million of her friends.
Yeah.
Which sounds like a lot, but not really. So
No,
so
not nearly enough.
nope. So that is it for this special Keigh3 edition of Dense Pixels. We will be back to your normally scheduled terrible news in the video game industry.
Your regularly scheduled bullshit will be
that's me.
back next week.
Rest assured. You can follow us on YouTube by going to youtube.com/densepixels, hitting the subscribe button. Again, if you did not watch this on YouTube and you want to see some of the game trailers that we were talking about throughout the show, you'll be able to see them on this episode there as well. Make sure you subscribe to this show as well as all the other TNP Studios shows, wherever you get fine podcasts. Go to densepixels.com/fans to join our Discord so you can chat with us and other folks that listen to the show. And don't forget to go to twitch.tv/densepixels to follow us there and follow us all individually. I'm Dense Pixels Brad, Carrie Suppets Carrie, Terrence is Apparition 410. And that's it. That's all we got.
That's it.
So hopefully we delivered on your expectations for this Keigh3 episode of Dense Pixels. See you later.
See ya.
See ya.
You're watching the Dense Pixels YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button while you're here and make sure you check out our weekly podcast where we discuss the latest gaming news and our impressions on what games we've been playing.